If you've watched Breaking Bad, you know it's packed with unforgettable villains. But here's the thing, when most people think of the show's most dangerous threat, they're usually thinking about Walter White. And sure, Walt is terrifying, but today I want to make the case that the real apex predator of Breaking Bad is actually someone else entirely, Gustavo Fring. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Gus isn't just dangerous. He's the most dangerous villain the show ever created. Let's break it down. When we first meet Gus Fring, he's a successful restaurant owner, clean-cut, professional, respected in his community. He sponsors youth sports programs, donates to schools, and runs a legitimate business empire. On the surface, he's the opposite of a villain. He's a pillar of the community, and that's exactly what makes him dangerous. Most criminals operate in the shadows. They're obviously threatening. But Gus? He's built an impenetrable wall of legitimacy around himself. His lospolloshermanos chain isn't just a cover, it's a perfect front. It's clean, it's profitable, and most importantly, it gives him complete plausible deniability. When law enforcement comes knocking, what do they find? A law-abiding businessman with immaculate records. Compare this to Walter White, who starts cooking meth in an RV and gets arrested within episodes. Walt's criminal operation is chaotic and visible. Gus's operation is invisible because he's hidden it behind a legitimate business that actually generates real wealth. The DEA never suspects him until they've already built relationships with him. That's not luck, that's strategic genius. This legitimacy also gives him something far more valuable than money: social capital. He's invited to community events, he's trusted by authorities, he can move through the world without suspicion, which means he can operate with complete freedom. While Walt is constantly running and hiding, Gus is hosting business dinners and greeting customers. Here's where Gus becomes genuinely terrifying: his patience and his need for total control. Walter White is impulsive. He makes decisions based on ego, anger, and in-the-moment desperation. He kills people when he's threatened, and he often does it messily. Gus? He operates on a completely different level. He's willing to wait years, literally years, to make a single move. He plans everything with meticulous precision. Every action has a purpose. Every person who works for him understands that there are rules, and breaking those rules has consequences. Think about how Gus handles the situation with Walt and Jesse. Most people would have killed them after the first mistake, but Gus doesn't. Why? Because he recognizes their value. He needs Walt's chemistry skills, and he needs to protect his investment. Instead of reacting emotionally, he systematically eliminates threats while keeping his most valuable assets alive. That's not cruelty, that's business, and it's far more dangerous than wild violence. The best example of this is how Gus eliminates the cartel. He doesn't charge in guns blazing like Walt would. He positions himself as indispensable. He builds relationships. He becomes integrated into their operations. And then, when the moment is right, he destroys them from the inside out. His revenge against the cartel takes years, because it's not about personal satisfaction, it's about winning completely and cleanly. Gus's control extends to everyone around him. His employees know that one mistake could cost them everything. They're terrified of him, but they don't always show it. That's because Gus has created a work environment where fear is the operating system. You don't challenge Gus Fring, you don't question him, you do exactly what he says, when he says it. That level of control is absolutely chilling. Let's talk about what Gus has actually built, because it's the physical manifestation of why he's so dangerous. The super lab beneath the chicken farm isn't just a meth lab, it's a monument to obsessive planning and unlimited resources. This thing was constructed in complete secrecy. It's state-of-the-art, it's secure, it's designed so that even if authorities raided it, they'd have an incredibly difficult time proving what it was used for. Every detail has been thought through, but the super lab is just one piece of Gus's infrastructure. Think about his network. He has contacts in the DEA. He has business partners in legitimate industries. He has a distribution network that spans multiple states. He has the ability to manufacture methamphetamine at an industrial scale. He's not just running a drug operation, he's built a parallel economy. He's self-sufficient in ways that Walt could never be. This infrastructure also means Gus has multiple backup plans for everything. If one operation gets compromised, there are others. If one connection fails, there are replacements. He's diversified, which makes him nearly impossible to take down. You can arrest one of his distributors, and 5 more are ready to step in. You can shut down one lab, and he's already building another one somewhere else. This is the difference between a criminal and a crime boss. Walt builds a house of cards, Gus builds a fortress. maybe the most dangerous thing about Gus Fring is something we don't always talk about. He's not driven by emotion, he's driven by pure logic. Walter White, despite everything he's done, still has moments where you see him struggling with his choices. There are scenes where Walt clearly hates himself. He has a conscience buried under layers of ego and desperation. But Gus? When Gus kills someone, there's no internal conflict. There's no moment of doubt. He simply executes his decision with absolute precision. Consider the scene where Gus cuts Victor's throat. This happens as a statement. It's not because Victor did something unforgivable. It's because Victor was sloppy, and Gus needs to remind everyone in that room who's in charge. He kills someone to send a message. That's sociopathic level thinking. He's literally using murder as a management tool. The really chilling thing is that Gus seems genuinely calm most of the time. He's not raging or losing control. He's courteous, even warm. He has a sense of humor. He can discuss philosophy with Walt while planning to have his entire family murdered. That combination, courtesy mixed with absolute willingness to destroy anyone who gets in his way, is far more terrifying than any villain who just screams and threatens people. Gus Fring represents the perfect criminal because he has no internal barriers to overcome. He won't second-guess himself. He won't hesitate. He won't suddenly develop a conscience and try to turn things around. He's pure, focused, murderous ambition dressed up in a business suit and a friendly smile. So, here's the ultimate answer to the question. Why is Gus more dangerous than Walt? Walt is dangerous because he's a genius who's willing to hurt people. But Gus is dangerous because he's a genius who doesn't care about people at all. Walt still sees himself as the protagonist of his own story. He's driven by ego, by pride, by the need to be respected. That ego is actually his weakness. It causes him to make mistakes. It causes him to build connections that betray him later. Gus has no ego. Or rather, his ego is completely contained within his professional identity. He doesn't need people to love him. He doesn't need them to respect him as a person. He needs them to fear him and obey him, and he's perfectly content with that. That removes his greatest vulnerability. In the end, Walt gets caught because of his ego and his mistakes. Gus comes the closest to winning. He almost gets away with everything. The only thing that stops him is Walt's act of desperation, which is less about Walt's brilliance and more about Gus underestimating how far someone will go when they have nothing left to lose. Gus Fring is the most dangerous villain in Breaking Bad because he combines brilliance, patience, resources, and a complete lack of conscience. He's what Walt pretends to be, but actually is a force of pure, logical, methodical destruction. He's the villain you can't predict because he's not driven by ego. He's the villain you can't defeat because he has backup plans for everything. And he's the villain who comes closest to winning because he never lets emotion cloud his judgment.